A very big welcome to Garden Discovery, and this is my April garden tour of my own California garden. I hope you enjoy. I'll be starting off around the spiral section of the garden. And I've included a lot of common names to the plants that I have in my own garden in case you want to add them to your own. And if there's any plants that you're interested in that you don't know the name of and I didn't name, just put a comment in the comment section below in the video with the timestamp in the video where you were watching, and I'll try and name that plant for you. I grow a lot of perennials, annuals, cactus, succulents, and just kind of mix everything up, and they grow really good in the climate that I live in Central Coast of California. So you'll see some aloes mixed in with the perennials and annuals, some yuccas, some cacti, and just a whole mix. It's a lot of fun to mix things up, and because the climate that I live in is so moderate, I'm able to do that, and it really works well in California. And my garden is in zone 9B in California. We go through periods of long drought, and we're getting ready to get to that point, which usually starts in May. So this, people, is one of the best times of the garden where it's still so healthy, so alive, and able to get moisture and to really benefit from any rainfall that we get. So I try to soak up as much time in the garden as I can because it is a glorious time. And it doesn't always look this great. I have to be honest with you. It really doesn't. But that's okay. I have those succulents plugged in there and cacti and a lot of foundation plants. And that's what's really going to keep this garden going. And it's just experience going through the drought with gardening, and you get to learn what plants can hold up to that drought and what plants can't. And you learn from that, and you just plant more of the ones that obviously survive through the drought and prosper. And that's what you want to look for when you're gardening in California. And also a really good idea is to get some big pots like I have around the spiral and put some plants in it like yuccas and agaves and those kind of plants that are going to be year-round foundation plants. And this really helps visually when the beauty of springtime has faded and the drought is kicked in. You've got those beautiful plants in the planters, and it gives it a foundation and it gives it meaning and purpose, and you fill in between with plants that can survive through that drought as well. And I have to tell you, I love flax as an annual in my garden. It's really a beautiful thing with the white and the pinks and even some yellows and purples. Really beautiful. I have different kinds of flax too. I have some bright red and some pale blue. So pretty. Other annuals that I use in my garden are the cornflowers or bachelor buttons and hollyhocks. And of course I have alyssum in the garden that grows throughout the year, so it's a perennial, and it's really a lovely plant to have. It comes in purples and whites and in between, and you can reseed that alyssum very easily in a California garden because our climate is so mild. It's able to grow pretty much year round. Now the bright pink flowers in the back there, that's the rock purslane. And it is really beautiful when it's in bloom, but I have to tell you it's a lot of upkeep because the blooms are not pretty when they fade, so you have to get in there and constantly be cutting off those old blooms because it can really look unattractive. So you got to keep on top of the rock purslane if you have it in your garden. And also it can overtake other plants, so you will need to make sure that you're pruning it back from time to time. I also grow calendula in the garden as an annual. This is a place right here where I just recently took some out. It tends to, where I live in my garden anyway, it is prone to powdery mildew. And once I see that, I take it out because I've collected seeds and I can always reseed in the late fall and it will start growing in the fall. The late fall all the way to about right now, and then I need to pull it out because predictably it gets powdery mildew, which is okay. I just don't want it in my garden, so I just take the plants out and I restart again. They're super easy, calendula is, to get started, so not a problem there. And they're a beautiful plant to have in the garden. Now there is one plant in my garden, and I'll discuss that a little bit later in the video, but it's one that I'm considering not growing anymore. I am considering taking it out completely and replacing it with something else, and we'll talk about that in a bit here. You can see on my big cactus patch there, those dark spots at the top. Those are the very beginning of buds for the flowers it will have, and it has huge dinner plate size white blooms, and it's really something to see. Now, I did put together some teepee trellises out of bamboo canes, and I have two in the garden that I've made, and that's primarily to have something to support the sweet peas to grow up. So sweet peas like to climb and they like to attach, and you have to have something for them to attach to, or they will attach to things that you don't want them to, like other plants. So it's important to put some kind of structure around them and guide them up those structures. And a three-legged bamboo teepee is the perfect solution for me. So that's what I did this year to support those sweet peas. And I love sweet peas. They're just, they're so simple, but they're so beautiful and have such a lovely fragrance. So they're really a great addition to the garden. And I do grow them as an annual. Now you can see this Cape Daisy down here, and it's looking really horrible. It's time for me to cut that way back. So before my trip to Ireland, which is in May, I'm going to be cutting a few of my perennials back all the way down to the core. And it's a shocking thing to do to a plant, but it really helps those plants that are looking poorly. And I've learned over time they're going to be just fine and they'll come right back because they're very hardy plants. It's almost like they bloom themselves out. And so when they do that and they start to look a little cruddy, just take and cut them all the way back and they'll restart. They just need a reboot. And this is the Hillside Project. Those who follow the channel know that it's been something that I'm working on recently, and I'm plugging away at it a little at a time. And I did get some aloe cuttings from Robert. If you remember from the video, Shade Garden video I did, that's Robert, and he gave me those cuttings from the aloes that I plugged in down there. So thank you so much, Robert. And there's some fan aloes down there. And they're very interesting architecturally, I think. And so I've got 3 of them. And they seem to like a little bit more shade than a lot of the aloes do. And we'll just work our way around and leave the spiral and look at some of the freesias. Now there's freesias up in the garden and they are blooming and they're absolutely beautiful. I've talked about it before. Freesias are probably my favorite bulbs of all time, because they're so easy. They tend to last and bloom longer than most bulbs do. And they have a beautiful scent, just really beautiful, fruity, peppery kind of scent. And so I try to add them every year, more freesia bulbs to the garden. So they'll continue to come up and you can divide them and replant them and they'll keep blooming year after year. And Catherine's garden is holding up, although I still need to get in there and weed. There's just not enough time in the day for the garden at this time. It's just so much work. And when I've added the other project, well, some things are going to be neglected, and unfortunately that's one of them. We're going to go over to my newest raised bed. This is a couple years old, and this is where I grow my sweet peas along this lattice here. So these are the other sweet peas. I've got them in the garden in several different locations, and I have poppies there and some alyssum and some African daisies that I just cut all the way back because, again, these types of plants start to look poorly And when they do, I've found the best thing to is just cut them back and let them reboot. And you saw the birdhouse with the succulents on it. This is a video that I did, a year ago. And that succulent rooftop, it just keeps looking really pretty. So I hope you guys got a good look at that. And watch that video if you're interested in how to put that together. And now let's head up and take a look at the artichokes. Artichoke plants are really beautiful, and I love the big leaves. They're just lovely. I just think they're such a wonderful, wonderful visual in the garden. And, you know, they give off artichokes, so it's a win-win. I like artichokes, and I also like the flowers. So I will take some artichokes and eat some artichokes, give some away, and the rest I'll let go to flower because the flowers are absolutely gorgeous on artichokes. If you've never let yours go to flower, let them go just once because they're beautiful. And we'll take a peek at one of my newest plants. Thank you, Maribel. This sea lavender statice is just gorgeous and I love it. I love statice anyway. And here we move on to the real winners in the garden right now. The salvias have just come alive and they're so vibrant. And I have salvias of different colors in the garden, and I love salvias. These are perfect plants for our climate and they grow so lovely. They're a perennial, so that means they're in the garden alive all year round, and they bloom probably 10 months out of the 12 months of the year in my garden. So I love them. Here's a good look along the pathway of the different kinds of alyssum colors that I have, and it's really pretty, purples and whites and in between. And I've got it spread out and seeded throughout the garden, and I think it's really lovely. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be gone for most of May. I'll be gone to Ireland, and I will be trying to bring you a video. I'm hoping to go live from Ireland, probably from historic Germana House and Gardens. So stay tuned for that for May, and I may do one or two other videos there, probably very short ones or just shorts altogether. But I'll bring you some of the most beautiful garden spots that I visit. I have quite a few cactus in bloom right now and some that are about to bloom just like this one. And this one has really pretty white blooms on it when it blooms, and it's really gorgeous. Some people might not realize, but cactus have some of the most vibrantly colored blooms there are. Just look at this guy. Isn't this beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous and so vibrant and alive, and just kind of slaps you in the face with how beautiful it is. And now we'll just head out to what I call the farm. This is the part of the garden where I just grow my veg. And I've got some asparagus growing in there, sweet peas. Sweet peas are everywhere in my garden. And I pulled out a lot of my kale and lettuce because I'm going to be gone for May. And it's a good time to just let the soil rest, give it some time, give it a break. And I'll put some worm castings over it. And when I get back, I'll try some summer crops. Now I grow dill in the farm, and I also grow it throughout the garden. Some of you might not know, and if you don't, dill has some really pretty yellow blooms on it. And it's very ornamental, has great structure, and I love the foliage on it as well. So if you're looking for things to add to your garden that are a little more uncommon to see in an ornamental garden, try some dill. It is really beautiful. It gives height to the garden and beautiful blooms. I always look forward to my trips to Ireland and visiting all the different gardens there because everything is so lush and vital and beautiful, like springtime itself. And I come back and it's drought in the garden and it's not a lot of fun, and I want to go back to Ireland. So but life for a gardener goes on, and you find a way. And I play with my succulents, and I do some propagation of succulents and cacti and whatnot. And you know, there's different seasons in the garden, and in my garden, when the drought hits, it's not a lot of fun. So I got to find other things that, you know, I can't have that cottage garden look all year long. I just can't have it. Speaking of dreams, this Japanese maple is one I had my eye on at Iron Pony Nursery for a year, and I finally bought her. And she's come home to the garden, and look at the little hummingbird on it. I have watched hummingbirds on this maple now several times a week, and it's just so sweet. I love it. It's like they've totally taken this Japanese maple and made it theirs. It's beautiful. And here's a look at some of the beautiful, beautiful blooms from the freesias all over the garden. Really pretty. And I just want to add more and more and more freesia bulbs in the years to come. And the other thing that I really like about this middle garden is the rua. It's just so beautiful. This Mexican rua, gorgeous yellow blooms. Love it. Great addition to the middle garden. And I want to put some more throughout the garden because it's such an easy plant to grow. But the one plant that I think I am going to take out of my garden and not be growing in the garden is the Jerusalem sage. It's really beautiful when it's in bloom like this, but the rest of the year it just looks awful to me. So I'm planning in the year ahead to take this out and to put some salvias in its place. I think they'd be a better fit for my garden. I am planning on going to a cactus sale this weekend in Watsonville. And if I'm able to do some video there, I will get some video and show you some of the cacti that's on sale at the cactus show. So thank you so much for watching Garden Discovery today. In this April tour of my California garden, please subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, and share, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.